day, everyone. My name is Marijon Igot, and I'm a third year student at AMA University Online Education, taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Computer Science. Today, I'm excited to share my presentation entitled Application Development and Emerging Technologies. So, with a special focus on web applications, of course. So we will dive into how to create and interact with web-based platforms. So, join me as we explore the exciting world of web development, and we'll discuss important topics on creating websites. Creating a web application is a dynamic process that involves bringing ideas to life in digital realm. In today's interconnected world, web applications play a vital role in delivering services, information, and functionality to users across the globe. This intricate journey begins with a careful planning, dives into the creative process of design, extends through the hands-on development of code, undergoes meticulous testing, and culminates in the exciting development of a fully functional web application. In this connection, we are going to focus three topics. So the first topic is the workflow, and then followed by the structure, and the last one we're going to tackle about the style. So I'll be discussing this one by one. So let's proceed with the workflow. So in application development, a workflow refers to a structured process that outlines all the phases, steps, and tasks involved in creating a website. So just like in our image here, it states the different steps in the development process, step 1, 2, 3, 4 until step number 6. So this is how to develop a whole application. But in this presentation, we are focusing on this number 3, which is the workflow of creating a website. Okay. Since we are talking about creating a web application, of course, we cannot create without tools. So, what are the common tools for creating this web application? So, number one, we have the text editors. So, in programming, a text editor is a type of software used to write and edit plain text. So it is essential tool for programmers and developers as it allows them to write and modify code. So there are two classes of text editor. We have the GUI editor, or the graphical user interface editor. And we also have the terminal editor. So we have three examples of the GUI text editors. We have the Coda, the Sublime, and we also have the TextMate. So, and for terminal editor, we have two. We have Emacs and Vim. So these are other examples of our text editor. So we have the Atom, the Brackets, the Bluefish, the Text Wrangler, and the Copycat. So, and we also have our modern editor. This is the Visual Code editor. So I think this is the most common used nowadays. So the next common tool is the version control. So this version control system, also known as the source control, so is the practice of tracking and managing changes to software code. So these are the examples of a version control system. So we have the Mercurial, we also have the Perforce and Subversion. So we also have other examples here. As you can see, we have the TFS and especially this one, get here. So I think this is the most common, and in fact, we are using this one. So I think we're going to the next tool, which is the web browser. So what is a web browser? So a web browser is an application that allows user to access and interact with the websites on the internet. Serve as an interpreter of our codes in the form of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to interpret and display the interpreted code in the browser. So I think these are the common web browsers. First, we have the Microsoft Edge and followed by the Firefox. And then we have the Google Chrome and Opera browser. And the last one, we have the Brave. So these are the logos of the browsers. I think, next slide. So in this course, we use 3 tools. So which is the Sublime, and then as I've said earlier, we use the get. So this is the get bash. And for our interpreter, we use the Google Chrome. So, and let's proceed to another slide. So I think let's go to the second topic, which is the structure. So in web development, structure refers to the way a website content is organized and arranged. So it is like the blueprint of a website that defines how various pages and sections are connected. So I think this one pertains to HTML. What is HTML, by the way? So HTML stands for the Hypertext Markup Language. So it's the standard language used to create and structure web pages and web applications. Okay, so this is how HTML looks like in real code. So later on, I'm going to discuss this one by one. So what this is all about. Let's proceed first to our next topic. So what is the basic HTML structure? So first, let's discuss HTML tags. So HTML tags are the building blocks of HTML. They are used to define and structure the content of a web page. So this is our example here. So to explain it better, so I have to use this image here. This came from the clearlydecoded.com. So this is the P tag, or we call this one the paragraph tag. So this is an HTML tag. So as you can see here, this is the P here is the element. So this is what we call the opening tag here. Here, this is the opening tag. And then here is the closing tag. And in between these two tags, we have our content. So content for our paragraphs will be here. Okay. So next, this is the basic HTML structure. So now I'm going to discuss this one by one. So first we have the doc type HTML. So what is this? So the doc type HTML declares the document type and version of HTML. So this one here. So this is a declaration. So this is a declaration of what we are using, whether we are using the the HTML4 or HTML5. So I think now we are using HTML5. So next we have the HTML, the opening HTML and the closing HTML here. So the HTML element is the root element of an HTML page. So this one is the root, meaning HTML is the parent of the head and the body here. Okay, so head and body is the direct children of this HTML here. So next we have the head. So the head element contains meta information about the document. So like this one, this is a meta information. So my first web page. So next we have the title. So the title specify the title of the page which appears in the browser title or bar or tab. So this one will appear in the browser's title bar or the tab. So next we have the body. So body element contains the visible content of the page such as headings, the H1 and paragraphs. So we have here the H1 and we also have the paragraph element. So this is a paragraph and then the H1 here is my first web page. So these two here will be the one, you can see these two inside a web page. So next, let's talk about the heading. So headings in HTML are used to define the structure and hierarchy of the content of the web page. So there are 6 levels of headings ranging from H1, which is the highest level, this one here, and to H6, which is the lowest level. So H1 being the most important and H6 is the less important and also the smallest, like the output here. So H1 is the biggest or the largest. You can see the output, heading 1, and the H6 is the smallest. Okay, now let's proceed with the anchors. So as you can see here, so what is an anchor tag, by the way? So the anchor tag is used in HTML to create hyperlinks. So what are hyperlinks? So hyperlinks are elements that allow users to navigate from one page to another or within the same page. So here are the basic example of the anchor tag. So in order for this anchor tag to work, so we have to insert an attribute. So just like in our sample here, so we are going to insert the attributes here. So after the A, so A then space, so just like this one. So this is the opening anchor tag, and we put an attribute here, href is equals to www.cutterbet.com, and then close. So this is the target length, and this is the anchor text. So this is the word that we can see in the web page. So, and this is also the anchor tag. So this is what it looks like. So the opening tag, target length, the anchor text, and also the anchor closing tag. So now let's proceed with the list. So list tags. So we have two types of list. We have the ordered list and we also have the unordered list. So in ordered list, this is what it looks like in code, in real code. So it's represent OL, the opening tag here, and the other closing tag here. So inside this OL, we also have the LI, which is the list items. So we also have the opening and closing tags here, LI. And then we also have in the ordered list. So by the way, what is an ordered list? So ordered list displays items with numbers or other ordered markers, while unordered list displays items with bullets or other unordered markers. So lists are very important for structuring content, especially when you want to present information in a sequential or group manner. Okay. So next, we will be talking about comments. So in HTML, a comment is a way to express, a comment is a way to add notes or annotation to your code that are not displayed when the page is rendered in a web browser. Okay, so comments are useful for leaving explanations for yourself or other developers, providing context or temporarily disabling code. So this is what a comment look like. So we have first the opening angle bracket, and followed by the exclamation point, and then the two dashes. So, and then inside, our comments goes here, and it ends with the two dashes and the closing angle bracket. So in real code, this is what a comment look like. So I think the developer here taking note that we use a dash here for our CSS class name, so that contains multiple words. That's a CSS convention. So on the other side, at the bottom, we also have here, actually this is a part of the code, but I think the developer wants to disable this one temporarily. So and then maybe later he will use this one. So now we are going to talk about the document object model, or the DOM, and also the trees. Okay. So what is a document model? So before explaining this image here, so let's first define what is DOM. Okay, document object model, or DOM, is the overall interface that represents the document as a tree of objects. So just like this one, it's like a tree. It provides a way for scripts to interact with the structure and content of HTML documents. So next is we have the node. So in DOM, every part of a document is a node. So just like this one, this is a document node, this is a HTML node, and this is the body node. So elements, attributes, and text are all types of nodes. So the entire document is considered a document node. So next we have this tree structure. So the DOM represents the document as a tree of structure. So this is a DOM, this is a tree of structure, where each node has a parent-child relationship. So the top level node is the document node, this one. And it branches out various elements under child nodes. So meaning, this is the document node, wherein the document here is the parent or the root, and the head HTML and body is the direct children of the document, and the title here is the child of head. We also have the H1, Dev1, and the Dev2, so they are all children of the body. And we also have the paragraph here, the paragraph 1. So this paragraph here is the child of div1, and the the class 2 paragraph or paragraph 2 is the child also of dev 2. So all of these elements here are the grandchildren of the document. So see? Okay, so now we will look at the actual code here. So we have the HTML here, so the opening and closing HTML. So under HTML, we have the head, the body, we have the head and the body. So just like here, the HTML, so we have the head and the body. So head is the direct child of HTML, and also body is the direct child of HTML. So that is why the head and the body is part of, or it's inside the HTML here. So that's why it is very important of the placement of the elements here. So the indentation is very important so that we can see so which is which, who is the parent and who is the child and who is the grandchildren. Okay, just like here. And head, what about the head? So we have the title. So inside the head we have the title. So the title here is the child of head, so we can see. Excuse me. And inside the body also we have the h1, div1 and the div2. So just like here. So you can clearly see that div1, h1 and div2 belongs to the body here. Okay? And you can also see that the p tag 1 is belongs to dev, and the dev and the p tag 2 here belongs to the dev 2. So that is why it is very important to use the DOM or the document object model so that we can visualize what's happening to our code. So this is the explanation for this one. Now let's proceed to the next topic. So I think the next topic is our HTML validation. So HTML validation is the process of checking whether an HTML document follows the syntax and rules defined by the HTML specification. These tools analyze the HTML code and report any errors, warnings, or suggestions for the improvement of our code. Okay, just like this one. So this is the W3C, so markup validation service. So all we have to do is to copy our code. So we are going to copy and paste our code here, and then we are going to click the button here, check. Then after checking, so the validation service will give any error or suggestions for improvement. So if we find errors to our codes, then it's time for us to correct it. Next we have I think we are going to discuss the last topic, which is the style. So first we're going to discuss what is a CSS, or the cascading style sheets. So in HTML, style refers to the presentation and visual appearance of elements on a web page. So the presentation can include attributes such as colors, fonts, spacing, and layout. So styling is achieved through the use of CSS, or the cascading style sheets. So we're talking about CSS. So what is CSS? So CSS is the short for cascading style sheet. So it's a language that defines how HTML or XML content is presented on the web. So it empowers developers to manage the layout, colors, fonts, spacing, and overall visual design of a web page. Next, we're gonna be talking about rule set. So a rule set refers to a collection of a styling instruction in CSS that define how elements are displayed on a web page. So a rule set consists of a selector and a declaration block. So the selector targets the HTML elements and the declaration block contains one or more declarations separated by the semicolons. So each consisting of a property and a value. Now this is to make things clearer. So I present you with this rule set diagram here. So this is a code. So this is what we call the rule set. So we have here an element which is h1. So this is what we call the selector here. So and after the h1 we have the curly braces. I mean, this is the open curly brace, and we also have here at the bottom the closing curly brace. So inside the curly braces we have the what we call this a declaration. So like for example the font size, and the font size is set to 1.25 rem. So wherein the font size is the property. So this is the property, and this one here is the value of this property. So this is the syntax of this rule set here. Let's talk about comments first. So comments in CSS are used to add notes or explanation within the style sheet that are ignored by the browser when rendering the web pages. So comments, I think, are helpful for documenting the CSS code. Okay, so next we have the two types of comments. So we have the single line comments and the multi-line comments. So this is what a single line comments look like. So this is, so first we have the forward slash followed by the asterisk, and then next we have our comment here, and the last at the end we have the asterisk followed by the forward slash. So as well as it's just the same, but we have many lines of comments here. That's why we call this one a multi-line comments. So the in real code, this is an example. So we have a comment here. So I think this is part of the code, but the developer make this one is a comment in order to disable this temporarily. So this is the forward and the asterisk, and the last is here. So this is a multi-line comments. Okay, next we will talk about padding, border, and the margin. So in CSS, padding, border, and margin are three fundamental properties that define the space around the element. So first, I'm going to be talking about padding. So padding is the space between the content of an element and its inner boundary. So this is the padding here. So this is the content and this is the padding. So the space between the content of an element and its inner boundary. See, it adds internal spacing within the element. So this is the content and this is the padding here. So next is we have the border. So the border is the boundary around the padding element. it separates padding from the margin and the content. So this one. So this is the border. So the last one is the margin. So the margin is the space outside of the border of an element. So outside of the border. So outside of this border. So this is the space here is the margin. So it defines, so margin defines the clearance between the element and its surrounding elements. Okay? So this is an example of the real code of this padding border and margin. So as you can see, we have a margin here. So we have the margin set to 200 px and it's auto. So this goes to the body, and we also have the dev selector, and its padding is 5px, and the border of 5px solid and then maroon. So this is this is an example of these three here: the margin, the border, and the padding. Let's talk about selectors. So what are the different types of selectors? So the selectors in CSS are patterns that are used to select and style HTML elements. So they define the elements to which a set of CSS rules should be applied. So there are many common selectors like this one. So the first is we have the element selectors. So this is the selector here, the P. So this is an element. So we know that P is an element. So this is an element selector. So for example, its declaration is the color. So it pertains to the text, the color of the text of the paragraph. So like that one. So styles applied to all P elements. Next we have a class selector. So a class selector designated with a dot. So when you see dot, then followed by an element name or a class name, so this is we can say that this is a class selector, like this one, dot highlight. So styles applied to elements with class highlight. So next we have the ID selector. So the ID selector also use the number sign or the hashtag sign, or I think this is the sharp sign. So followed by the value of the ID, which is the header. So meaning hashtag header. So this is a ID selector. So next we have the descendant selector. So article P. So styles applied to P elements inside the article elements. So this is a combination of two elements. So we have the article elements and the paragraph elements. So meaning the styles applied to paragraph elements inside of the article elements. So meaning the paragraph here is the descendants of the article elements. See? Next. Now let's proceed with a child selector. So we have here, this is the syntax. So this is also a combination. We have here a section. So this is a section element, and then followed by a closing bracket, and then another element here which is h2. So this is also a combination. So meaning that styles applied to h2, this one, to h2 elements that are direct children of section elements. So this is what we call the child selector. So next we have the attribute selector. So we have an input, then this is the syntax. No, we have input, and then we have a bracket, and then type is equals to text. So this is the attribute. Type is equals to text. So that's why we call this one the attribute selectors, because we have a type, an attribute here. So styles applied to input, this one input elements with the type text. The type text. Okay, so this is attribute selector. Next, we have the universal selector. So we can determine this is a universal selector because of the asterisk use. So this one. So meaning, it means that it selects all elements in the HTML document and applies styles to them. So all elements. So this one, by using the asterisk as the universal selector. So in our example here, so I screenshot this from my activity in our module. So we have here the OL, or the ordered list. So this is an element selector. So this one also is an element selector, P, as you can see. And this is that node, so this is a class selector here. And we have an ID selector demo, so we all know that this is an ID because of the hashtag sign, or the number sign, followed by the ID name. And we also have the what you call this one, an attribute selector. So we have an attribute inside. See? And the last one, we have the universal selector, because we have we have an asterisk here. See? So next, now we are going to talk about pseudo classes. So pseudo classes in CSS are keywords that specify a special state of an HTML element. So they also allow us developers to apply styles to elements based on user interaction or other conditions that cannot be represented by a symbol selectors alone. So pseudo classes are preceded by a colon. So the two dots and added to the end of a selector. So for example, common pseudo classes, we have the hover. So look at the colon. So they are preceded by a colon. So, and we have active, the focus, the visited, the end child, the first child, and the last child, and the end of type. So the hover applies when an element is hovered by the mouse. So for example, we have a button here, and then our mouse will go here. So there is a reaction. So the mouse might become a hand. So this is our example here. So we have the dot comments, then we have the P, and then end child, and then the background is lavender. So this is how we use this one here, our pseudo classes. Like for example, we have a button here, and then our first here is the hover. So we have, so this is how we do it. So that comment, input, button, and then hover. So this will be our selector, the button. So cursor is equals to pointer. So when the pointer points to the button, so it will change to a hand image. So this is the example of these pseudo classes here. So I think next we have the cascading rules. So cascading rules refer to the principles that govern how styles are applied and resolved when multiple styles declaration conflict or overlap for the same element. So so there are key principles of cascading rules. So the number one is the specificity, and followed by the importance and the order of appearance, and the last one is the inheritance. Okay, so this is our example here. So I get this one. I got this one from crocodile1battle.com. So it states here that the more specific you are in your rule, the higher priority has. So that means specific, so specificity. So just like in our example here, we have the selector here, that header 1, and then the background color is blue. And then below this code, we have also that question and then that header 1. So which is, this one is more specific than this one. Okay, because of this that question here. So this is more specific than this one. So that's why states here that header 1 background color will be red. So this one will be used because of specificity. This is more specific than this that header alone. Okay. So next we have the float property. So float property is a CSS property used for positioning elements within the visual layout of a web page. Okay, so this is an example of a float. So we have a selector here, which is image. So, and then our float property here, float flat. So this means that float the image to the left. And margin right 10px. So add some spacing to the right of this all images. Image. So next we have the clear property. So clear property is used to control the behavior of elements that are affected by floated elements. So when an element is cleared, it is positioned below any preceding floated elements. So this one here, this is the clear property accepts the following values like the none, left, right, or both. So in this example here, a common technique known as clear fix, this one, is used to ensure that a container element properly contains its floated elements. So by applying the clear, this one, and then our values both, see, as I've said earlier, the both values. So clear both rule to a pseudo element, which is after this one. This is our pseudo element or pseudo class. So the container will be positioned below any floated child element, regardless of their float direction. So this is a clear example of this clear property here. Okay, so next. Now we will be discussing how to work with fonts. So I'm going to discuss about the steps to embed fonts coming from Google Fonts. So first is we're going to visit the google.com/fonts, followed by to select the fonts. We are going to click the the icon next to the fonts you want to use. So selected fonts will be added to your collection at the bottom of the page. So next is customize the font. So this is just an optional. So and then we are going to get the embedded code. We are going to copy. We are going to next is to copy and paste the code. Copy the HTML code provided by the Google Fonts and paste it to the head section of our HTML code. So this code includes a link that tag that references the fonts hosted on Google servers and imports them into your web page. So then we're going to apply the fonts in the CSS. So once the fonts are imported into your web page, you can use them in your CSS by specifying the font family for the desired elements. So and the last, we are going to test and deploy. So we are going to save changes and then test our web page. So this is the example for the image here. So I screenshot this one. So which I select this one here. Everyone has the right one. And then after that, we're going to click here, embed. So embed, and then after that, we're going to copy this one, this copy code here, this entire code to our on the head part of our HTML document. So we'll copy this one, this whole thing here. And we can also copy this one if you want, if you like this CSS here. So you can we can also copy this code to our CSS file. Okay. Okay, let's proceed with the CSS length. So just like the HTML, to find any errors, so we also have the CSS length. So CSS length is a static code analysis tool used to detect potential errors, inefficiencies, and stylistic issues in CSS code. So it helps developers improve the quality and maintainability of their CSS by identifying common pitfalls and enforcing best practices. So this is the website of the CSS length. So we are going to copy and paste our CSS document here, and then we are going to click length here, this one. Okay, and after that, the CSS length will you can see if the code you are pasting here has an error or not, or doesn't have. Okay. Okay, I think that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching, and see you on my next video presentation. Thank you very much, and goodbye.